Welcome in this video. Today I answer a very frequently asked question, and the question is, how much money should I charge for my images? And the answer you will see in this video. It's an interesting question, and it's not that easy to answer because, like everything in business and everything in art, it can be different. It can be totally different from country. In India, I would say it's totally different than in the US. In maybe Africa, it's different than in Europe, and so on and so on and so on. And even in Europe, it's totally different depending on the country. Like or countries with a very strong economy and people willing to pay a lot for certain things, it will be different than in countries with not that strong economy or where everything is not that value. So don't nail me on the numbers I tell you, but I just will give you my point and my opinion on that, and I will tell you definitely some figures and some numbers, but yeah, it will totally depend on your country. So disclaimer in the front. Okay, first of all, you should ask yourself the question, how much do you want for an image? And I can give you three simple examples that I will tell you in this video here. The first example is, let's say a newspaper, a magazine or something wants an image from you and says, oh, that's a nice image, we want to publish it, we want to print it, whatever, how much should I charge? Second example is, let's say you are an upcoming wedding photographer, or maybe you are even a wedding photographer, and you think about how much can I charge to photograph a wedding or a complete maybe weekend or something like this. And the third thing is, how much can I charge for portrait photography session, and should I charge, and so on. So I will tell you in this video. Let's start first. The first answer, or the first question you have to answer is, how much do you want? And don't look for other people, don't look for other opinions. How much do you want? How much do you need for living? Because depending on where you live, how you live, and so on, how old you are actually as well, will totally depend on how much you want. If you're, for example, a student and do your studies, then you might not need that much money like a family father who has 2 children, a wife, and maybe a third child from another wife or child or something like this. So that will totally depend. So you have to think about how much money do I need every month, and how much then do I need to charge to get to that amount. And of course it totally depends if you do photography as a full-time job, if that is what you make a living from, or if you just do it and have another job, like deliver pizza or work at McDonald's or something like this. No, just have a full-time job, which is different than photography, and just do it on the weekends. And because you do it as a hobby since 10 years, people ask you, can you photograph my wedding or whatever. So that is totally different, because the one money goes totally in your whole amount of money in the month, and the other money just goes maybe in your travel box. With that you can travel, or with that you can put gas in your car, or you can just buy nice things, or a new lens for your hobby, or whatever. So that is totally different. Then the next thing is, how much are people willing to pay for my art or my photography? And it will be totally different from the country, from what people are doing, from if they are just a private person or if it's a company, and so on and so on. So you have to think about, okay, I want to charge €1,000, and I say it now in euro because I'm from Europe. I want to charge €1,000 per day. And then you go to a person who asks you, hey, can you take maybe a portrait from me? And you say, yeah, I want €1,000. And then the person says, well, I earn €1,000 a month. So the job won't work with that person. But should you now go under your rate? No, you shouldn't, but you should look out for different clients maybe, or different prospects. And then the whole thing will work out. Then what you should do is, you should make yourself a price list and write in the price list what your hour rate is for a certain thing that you're doing, let's say photography, retouching, and so on, and maybe for administration, and so on and so on. Because leading a business is something different than being an employee or working for somebody else. Because when you work for yourself, you have to manage everything especially in the first years. I will make a whole other video about expectations as a pro photographer and reality as a pro photographer. You can look forward to that video. But let's say now, or let's talk now with numbers. Let's say I photograph a wedding and I want for the wedding 800 euro, because 800 euro is a good amount, and not only because it's a good amount, because we can easily calculate with this. So let's say 800 euro a day. A day is 10 hours, so you are for 10 hours on the wedding and you photograph in the morning, in the afternoon and in the evening, and then you leave. And maybe the next day you have to edit the images and transfer them and name them and then deliver them to the couple. So you have 1 day of photography. So 800 euro divided by 10 hours means you earn 80 euro per hour for 1 day. But you have the second day of editing. So let's say you have 2 days by 10 hours, so it's 20 hours. 800 divided by 20, so it's 40 euros per hour. In Germany, we have something which is called Mindestlohn, so that's the thing which you need to get at least in a job, but you have to figure out yourself. But never mind, it's 8.84 euro without taxes, so you have to add the taxes then, for a job. So you earn 40 euros per hour, so that's good, actually. So you can say, okay, 800 euro for a wedding is good. But you can of course say 1,600 euro for a wedding is good as well. And there's nothing bad about that. That's good as well. But you need to find the clients that are willing to pay 1,600 euro for a wedding photographer. And there will be clients. And there will be clients as well who say, okay, 5,000 bucks for a wedding, that's totally fine. That's in our budget, and I look for the best wedding photographer out there, so he or she will get 5,000 bucks. And that's totally fine. But you have to decide for yourself what is good for you. And what about if you say, okay, I do it for 200. I do the whole wedding for 200. Then you can just calculate. Okay, I have 200 bucks and I divide it by 10 hours of working, so it's 20 euro per hour. That's actually more than just the Mindestlohn here in Germany. But when you have the second day then as well, then you only get 10 bucks per hour. So that will mean you're slightly over the Mindestlohn, over the minimum that you get paid in Germany. And it can be okay for you, but when you are self-employed and when you run your own business, that might be not enough for you. And as well, it might destroy the prices of others. But as an egoistic person, you can just say, I don't care, I don't give a shit, I have 200 bucks, so I go on vacation, I do it 3 times a year, I have 600 bucks, I go on vacation, I don't give a shit about others. And if that works out for you, that's fine as well. For me. For other people, maybe not. You might get some angry colleagues in photography who say, you destroy our prices. But in the end, not the people destroy the prices, but the customer destroy the prices. And there are always, if you have enough value, people that value your work. And if they don't value your work, you don't have enough value. That's just what I have to say. Let's make another example with the 50 bucks per hour or 40 bucks per hour we had before for a wedding or for whatever. Let's say you make a price list and you say, okay, I want 40 or 50 euros per hour. And then you say, okay, I want to make a portrait shoot, and somebody asks you, I want to do a portrait shoot. Then you say, okay, it costs you, we need 3 hours to make a great shoot, and we need 3 hours of editing. So all in all 6 hours, 6 by 50 euro or 40 euro per hour means something around 300 bucks. So it costs you 300 bucks. And then the person says, it's too expensive. Then you can say, okay, we can do it for 1 hour. And then you have to pay 1 hour, and that's 50 bucks. And then another hour, which is as well 50 bucks. So it's 100 euro, and it costs me 2 hours, and you have earned 50 euro per hour. But when you then have to drive for 2 hours there and 2 hours back and so on, that's not really effective for you. You have to decide if you do that kind of job. Because if you want to earn 3,000 bucks a month, you have to do 30 of those only 1 hour shoots. And that's a whole lot to get 30 persons. But if you say, okay, but I do maybe only for 300 bucks the jobs, then you have to do 12 per month to get the same amount. So 3,000 euro divided by 12 is 300 bucks per shooting. Understand what I mean? Or you make a mix. You do maybe some wedding for 800 and then some portrait for 300, and then you only have to do 2 of both or 3 of both per month, and then you can totally do everything of that. Okay, and the last example is, somebody asks you, hey, we want to print your image. And what I always would recommend you is to start by 50 bucks. If nobody knows you, start with 50 bucks. With 50 bucks per print or per magazine publication, whatever, you can do nothing wrong because you earned 50 bucks. It's more than nothing, and people usually want or ask you to give it for free, but you just say, I can't give it for free, I give it for 50 bucks. And in 99% of the times, what I recognized, nobody says no to 50 bucks. And you can of course say, no, it's 300. But then most of the times magazines will say, 300 is a bit too much, it's over our budget. And then it's part two, how much can the person or will the person actually pay? It can be some kind of negotiation as well, but it's totally depending on you. And don't always believe in numbers and stuff people tell you. I can tell you what I earn per day, but that is not usual. It's not normal because people know me in the photography world and therefore are more willing to pay me a higher amount. And the more you are known for photography or your art or whatever, the more well known you are, the better your reputation is, the more money you can actually charge. But to get to that point, it's a long, long and stony way. It's not impossible, but you can't compare the one to the other. You can't say I photograph for 5 years and just do it as a hobby and sometimes I do a wedding, to somebody who does it full-time professional for 10 years and puts a lot of effort and a lot of time to his work. And yeah, that's actually my 2 cents about that. Let's sum it up. I would not do a wedding if I were you under 800 bucks. I would not do a portrait shoot under 300 bucks, and I would not give away one of my images under 50 bucks. What does not mean that I don't work for free, and what does not mean that I would actually work for 800 bucks to do your wedding, because I don't do weddings. But maybe you find a person who's talented and who just does it. And there's nothing bad about charging more, but I would not charge less if I do it full-time. If you don't do it full-time, you can do whatever you want, and in the end you can of course do whatever you like, as long as you can pay your bills and as long as you are happy and as long as you don't fuck up other people too much. It's totally fine. So write me your opinion in the comments below and hit thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Quick commercial: if you want to learn more about photography like landscape photography, image editing, or as well filmmaking, check out learnfromben.com. This is my website, and there you find video courses about photography and filmmaking to download on your computer instantly. And if you are interested in more videos like this, also about business aspects and so on, write it in the comments below. So I see you in the next video, and I keep on writing.